Let's have a look more specifically what today's tasks include. You'll have to have a look at these environmental issues. And I've put some different examples of the ones that can have specific impacts on crop production, which basically just means growing and processing different types of crops in Australia. Some of the specific issues that we experience include things like drought, pests and insects, bushfires, climate change, but you can pick anything you like, as previously stated, and those examples are up there as well. So, to step ourselves through this process, we will have to define and explain this issue. So, what is a drought? What are pests and insects, etc.? And provide different examples of how and where this occurs. How and where in Australia. And it's very important to speak about Australia because while there are general impacts, environmental impacts on growing crops everywhere in the world, our unique climate means that we do share some of those experiences, but we do have special impacts as well, particularly in the case of things like bushfires. Although, as you've seen, if you've been watching the news, there has definitely been an increase in temperature and bushfires in the Northern Hemisphere as well. And this is just something I want you to think about. How does this issue impact the Australian environment in the short and long term? And short could be anywhere between 12 months and 3 years, and long term is anything, 5 years, 10 years, and way into the future as well. So it's just something for you to think about. So when you're writing that, you can just break that down. And it's just listing how you might think initially. It's just a brainstorm for us to be able to consider this later on. And it's a really useful tool because we will be then asked to put this all together in the extended response. This next page asks us to have a look more specifically the impacts of these environmental issues on a chosen crop. And this chosen crop should be chosen from this list because they're the most common crops grown in the world: wheat, rice, or sugar. And we've already been doing some research in the previous lessons, so you might already be comfortable more with one of those crops more specifically, or have a continued interest in that. So let's have a look. I've kept with the same environmental issues, and you should do that as well to make sure you have continuity and flow through your writing. When I'm talking, for example, about drought, I'm discussing the impacts of drought on my chosen crop. So, for example, I might have picked sugar as my chosen crop. And from my research in previous lessons, I know that primarily sugar is grown in Queensland in Australia. So I think about drought in Queensland. This is particular importance of something like sugar because if I'm looking at sugar, I'm saying that I might be saying something like sugar requires a high level of watering, and not having this has an impact because the quality of the sugar is less, and I guess the farmers will have to purchase water from somewhere rather than relying on that. They'll also have to regenerate the soil, which is another expensive process and decreases the quality of the crop. So things like that, and exploring issues like that will be important. How do we know? So we've had a look what is the issue, but if in examining statistics, facts, and data, we are asked to have a look at how do we know? And that's again, so how do we know that that drought has an impact on sugar production? We research and list key facts and data, and also include the website there.